All right.
Welcome, Huns Nation and sports fans everywhere, to 2.6 of the Huns Old Cast. I'm coming to you from Palm Desert, California, where a lot of old people live. And our guest tonight is Huns legend in the making, Alex Rees, coming to you from Austin, Texas. Alex, how you doing?
I am good, Bill. Still buzzing after watching the boys this weekend handled business at River City Sevens.
Boy, did they ever. Before we get to that, how's your foot?
It's not great, to be honest. I kind of expected progress to be a little bit better on it, so I'm going back into the doctors next week and getting another opinion on it.
This has been nagging you off and on for a while. You heard it again this year, but this is not a new occurrence for you, right?
Unfortunately not. I had broken it, in 2017 pretty bad, and then refractured it in 2018, and then it was good for about 2 or 3 years, and then 2021 formed a stress fracture, and then that eventually just became a full break. So
I'm sorry to hear that. How's your dad?
Catching all the wrong breaks.
How's your dad?
Jonty's good. Jonty is recovering from a stomach surgery, so he's laying off the golf, laying off the mojitos.
Double hernia surgery, right? He tried to get active too soon over his last surgery.
Yeah, so he's like I said, laying off the golf and laying on the couch. So watching a lot of rugby.
There's a lot of good rugby right now. For those that don't know, Jonty and I played together back in the early 80s when I was starting to wind down my career. Great fly half, great kicker for post, a lot like you. And just a all-around funny guy, great guy to party with. So let's get to the rugby. We're going to talk mostly about sevens today. Let's start with River City. River City Sevens. Huns won. I think it's safe to say the boys had a pretty good weekend.
Absolutely. I would say up there with, one of our top rugby weekends in a few years for sure. At least sevens wise. I can't think of a more comprehensive performance from a Huns sevens team ever. So
that's the best I've ever seen us play as a sevens team, certainly this summer. And I think that's right up there against sweeping the Reds and the Blacks in 15s. The Reds at our place, the Blacks at their place for the final games, D1, D2. To me, it was a huge thrill, especially when you look at who we played and the quality. We beat Reds 33-5. We beat the Blacks 26-5 on their home field. And by the way, the Blacks are 0 for 2021 against D1 Huns in 15s and 7s. Tell me the last time that
happened. Maybe in 2017.
Not in 7s too, maybe, but whatever.
Yeah, maybe. I don't even know about that. Yeah.
Maybe. I'm saying it's never happened, but I could be wrong. 29-17 over Rugby HTX. And from last week when they squeaked by us to this week, they called up 6 starting or first-line sub Sabercats.
Yeah.
So we were basically playing a half professional rugby team, scored 4 second-half tries. Thank you very much. 24-10 over Grand Prairie, who is a really scrappy outfit, man.
They've been really good, and there's a reason why they're joining D1 this season.
I'm excited about that. It's good to have another D1 club in Texas. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the pièce de resistance, 36-7 over Reds 1 in the final. Yeah. And, it looked like we were playing against guys that were standing still near the end of the second half. I think we scored 3 tries in the last 3 or 4 minutes, man.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And we played smart, we played aggressive, we played um, uh, angry. I mean, we played as a team. Our defense was incredible.
Yeah.
And guys just ran like their asses were on fire.
We had a team meeting on Monday because I would say the tournament in the Woodlands was a certainly a low on the season. Not to say that like losing to HTX is like something to be ashamed of, because it's not. They're a really good team. But I think just like from a team morale and team like mentality standpoint, that was as low as it's been, in like the last couple of years. I think, guys like starting to get maybe a little bit anxious about if they're going to make the team or not, and maybe that like cohesion really wasn't there, and there was just almost an air of like, oh, the Reds aren't here, we're going to stroll through the tournament and pick up our first place trophy. And then it's like, teams hit you in the mouth, and there's like, for the first time really all year, you had some like internal like finger pointing, and that's not who we are. And so we got together on Monday. We had a really good film session and just hashed it all out. And guys, got to talk about like, everyone said like, what can I do to be a better teammate? And it was as productive a meeting as we've had in years. And it was just like a new, invigorated focus for the team. And that Tuesday practice, it was just a night and day from the weeks prior. Full buy-in.
Nice time for that to happen.
Yep, it was full buy-in, like from the get-go. Like everyone knew what we needed to do, knew how we were going to do it, and really got together, all 40 guys, not just the D1 guys. And it was a really great week of practice. And so I think the guys felt going into the weekend like they were a lot more assured of like our plan going into it, and what makes us the Huns, less so like, oh, we should be winning. It should just happen organically.
You guys did it with teamwork this last weekend. I mean, that is the best team display of sevens. And if you look at some of these rosters, the Reds are impressive. Rugby HTX is impressive. The Blacks have been legendary for decades in Texas. And the Huns are going out there and playing better than the sum of their parts, man, which is awesome to see. Like, for example, Austin Willis, man, what did you have for breakfast, kid? And we get
Seriously.
Brandon, we get Patrick Coleman back, we get Brandon and Brendan back,
Jack Casey.
Yeah, just on and on and on, and so many great performances on both offense and defense. But tell the truth, did your heart skip a beat or two when Corey was laying on the deck for a few minutes?
Funny question, because I have played rugby with Corey for a long time. Since 2014 was the first time I played with Corey.
College, right?
Yeah, in college. And I have never seen Corey miss a game until I think he missed like maybe one game precautionary this year with a shoulder. But I've never seen him injured. So part of me was like, okay, well, it's Corey. He's gonna be okay. He never misses games. Guy's an Iron Man. Then the other side of me was like, I've also never seen Corey like go down and lay on the ground in the game. So I was like, oh shit, like if Corey's down, like he's got to be down for a real reason. I think it turned out that he just got hit in the nuts, which is enough to make any man cripple.
That'll slow you down for a minute or two.
Yeah. So I was nervous in one sense because I don't see him go down a lot, but I know Corey and I know he doesn't really miss any action, so I was confident he'd get back up.
Key moment for me in the finals, and I was talking to Coach Adam about it a little bit ago. We're down a man because of a funky yellow card right about the time Corey got it in the nuts. We played great defense. Corey sees the ball is out
Yeah.
before the Reds do, poaches it. Cat holds her arm up, play on, and we score a try to end the half down a man.
Right.
And holy shit. And then we came out again, like you said during the broadcast. By the way, kudos to you for great broadcasts. You make it fun. But we came out in the second half again all day like our asses were on fire.
Yeah.
And the offload to the kid in the corner from
Jack. Yeah.
Corey, and then Brandon with like last play jamming it in from the 22, like I'm turning up field and I dare you to stop me. And the Reds just, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
That was red on that last one.
I'm sorry, Patrick Coleman. That's right. I meant that. I meant that.
So I actually, I think if like for people that have followed the team all summer, like they'll see that like we've had quite a lot of injuries, like how we came out, from that first tournament of the summer. I've gone out for the rest of the summer. Jack Casey's been injured. Corey's missed a tournament. Red was gone playing with the AGs. Brendan Curl's been injured. Brandon Johnson's been injured. And I think what's like is almost a blessing in disguise, because all those guys that normally like may not have gotten a crack on the ones got a lot of really valuable minutes, and got minutes in tournaments where we went and won the tournament, hell or high water. Or
Case Fleck and Gopner connected on that winning try at the end of hell or high water.
Yep. And the same guys played at Bayou Classic and made it to the final, lost, but still like a lot of valuable experience. And so when we get to that tournament this weekend and the cavalry is back, all those guys that normally may not be huge contributors have spent so much time as starters or major contributors that like anytime Adam had anybody in the game, it wasn't like they were out of place. So you just saw that depth just pay massive dividends all day. And it's that first 4 minutes of the second half when the subs rolled through was just like an onslaught. And I think it's been almost because of all the injuries that we've gotten to that point.
He was judicious with Brandon and Brendan's minutes on Saturday too, so that by the end of the day they were still really fresh. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and credit to Josh Williams and Spencer McMains and Austin Willis and these guys that they
Case Fleck.
Yeah, Case Fleck. But I mean, and Ricky Chestnutwood, another guy, like guys that didn't necessarily play a lot of minutes in that final, but they played a ton of minutes all day, and that's like what kept Brendan and Brandon and Red fresh. And then it's like they just like icing on the cake, those guys that came in for the last 3 minutes of the final. Oh, let's just rack up another 21 points. Like, those guys really were instrumental.
I thought it was really a smart strategy all day long. I mean, first of all, Ricky Chestnutwood is, God, my idol. I want to go back 40 years right now and be him. The dude plays great defense. I don't know how many times this year he's tracked back like 60 or 70 yards to make a try-saving tackle at the 5-meter line or something.
Yeah, him and Shamal both.
And Shamal Schoonmaker, I mean, and we have so many guys right now that have speed. We're doing stuff at the breakdown, we're playing defense, but we got many guys that have enough speed that when they get through, they can go all the way.
Yeah.
And it's just remarkable. I mean, it's a lot of fun. My wife on Saturdays when I'm watching your iPhone broadcast just rolls her eyes because I've got it plugged into the TV in the living room, and it's just all Huns all the time,
Yeah, why not?
So let's wrap up Huns 1. I just learned a few minutes ago, verified by Grant Cole, so I still have to get another source, but Energy Sevens has been canceled this weekend. I believe that means that if we just show up at Shreveport, we win TOLA on points no matter the result. Even if we were tied with the Reds, I think we got the tiebreaker. So this is looking like it might very well be a three-peat for the Huns in TOLA. We're 3-1 head-to-head with the Reds this year. An overtime win thanks to Corey on a dashing, quick go up in Dallas to begin the season. An incredible coast-to-coast try that was mostly a turnover. I don't remember by who at the goal line again, and then Gopner in case.
Yeah, it's Ricky on the chase back and Caesar Escajeda on the intercept.
And then, that's right, it was an over-the-shoulder intercept, and then Gopner and Case went two-man rugby all the way to the end, and then a cheap shot, if I remember correctly, by the Reds on the try. Beating the Reds 3 times is remarkable because they concentrate and spend so much money on sevens. It's just good to know. So we're still in first place. It's looking pretty good. 27 wins and 3 losses across 6 tournaments. 3 firsts, 2 seconds, and a third. I would say that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best record we've had it since, 2016, we had a really good record. But then, of course, we got to nationals and went 1-5, so that record got spoiled at the end. But yeah, and I think also we haven't ever played this many tournaments together as a ones team. So
nationals is going to be tough again, but that's why you do it. I think it's been a great summer. I'm really impressed by what you said, that the team, and by the way, who wouldn't get tired and grumpy after 5 tournaments in like 6 or 7 weeks? But the fact that the team got together, all 50 guys, I congratulated Austin Willis over the weekend, and he said, Bill, it's 1 through 50. I've gotten a lot of kudos from everybody. And I just think that's a fabulous story. Let's talk a little bit about Huns too.
I have a real quick story on Austin Willis, and why I think and I talked to him about this on Thursday, and then lo and behold, he comes out on Saturday and possible man of the tournament. Austin Willis is like a incredibly hard working player that isn't necessarily bigger or faster than any guy out there by any means. But he goes like 100+% in every practice. And more importantly, Willis has spent a lot of time playing D2 over the last 3 or 4 years that he's been a Hun, up and down between D1 and D2. But this last year, I'll never forget, we went to Dallas to play the Reds, and Willis got put on the Huns 2s, and a lot of players in the past will get put on the 2s that think that they can play 1s and say, like, well, I only want to play 40 minutes. So I want to be fresh for the 1s game. Or like, this is BS. I should be on the 1s. I'm not playing. I'm not going to play if it's 2s or whatever. Like, that's happened before. Willis got put on the 2s and said his reaction was, you know what, guys? I want to play 80 minutes for the 2s, and I want us to kick their ass. And then I want to play 80 minutes for the 1s, and I want us to kick their ass. And I was like, the mentality of like, I'm on the 2s, like I'm excited. That means I can play 160 minutes of rugby. Like and I think that's like what makes him kind of, who he is and why.
Dude, I think that's a fabulous story. And the Huns have always punched above our weight. We've always played bigger teams, perhaps more experienced teams over the years. I don't know if that's true right now, but the brotherhood and spirit in the Huns has always been something. And that's what I'm hearing in that story about Austin. let's talk, if you don't mind, a little bit about Huns 2 and Huns 3. I watched the
Yeah.
match that you broadcast where we destroyed West Houston, which is a first side. Um, uh, Club captain, we got team captain on the ones, which is Corey Jones, but the club captain for sevens is Aaron Bone. I noticed he was leading the guys, played really well, but what really stuck out to me, over and above the fact it was a track meet, was all these college kids and even a high school kid playing for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just remarkable. 57s guys is crazy to begin with. A lot of times during the 15 season, you have 50 guys at practice.
Yeah.
And so all these college kids, this high school kid, it just seems amazing to me that our recruiting is going so well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Huns 1s, 2s, and 3s are full of young talent. And, credit to Biff for kind of architecting the idea, the concept around bringing in college kids for the summer with the intention that, one day they'll come back for the Huns because they'll enjoy their experience. And that's been extremely true. And I look at like the number of guys that came from the scholarship program. Like, I guess I was a part of it. I would have been a Hun anyways, but like I was a part of it. Shamal, Ricky, Austin Willis, Austin Van Diver. Um, uh, I know there's more.
Cesar Escajeda.
Cesar Escajeda.
Ricky Chestnutwood, right?
Arch Hoffman, Ricky. I think I said Ricky. Jacob Gepner. Case Fleck, and Zane Jackson and Justice. Like the number of guys that have been like major contributors long term for the Huns, not just during sevens, has really kind of proven that like you don't have to go and get foreigners if you just cultivate American talent and show them what a great culture can do.
I was in that board meeting. And the passion, first of all, that Biff brought to his presentation was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And secondly, I think everybody in the room, and I was on Zoom, I was on a call in, everybody in the room just stopped and went, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
And, since then, as a strategy, we have stopped paying or even paying for travel of foreign players. And if you look at how we rolled over the Reds in the second matches and the Blacks in the second matches, we beat them D1 the first match, but we beat them both sides in the second matches and ran them off the pitch. A lot of that was the youth factor, the fact that these kids, Gubner played scared in the D1 Blacks match at Nixon because he'd never played in a club men's match before, and his first match is against the Blacks. And
right.
All these kids just bring so much to the table. And, the truth of the matter is D1 rugby is a young man's game. Your body can only hold up for so long. You got to be fast. You got to be strong. And these kids, I bet our average age of our D1 side has dropped 5 years.
Oh yeah, I mean, just in from 2019 to 2021 or 2020 to 2021, I mean, with COVID kind of accelerating a lot of retirements, we went from our forward pack probably averaging, like Biff was one of the younger forwards last year, and this year, I mean, you got your outliers like JP and Zach who are just ageless. Boosting the number, but it's besides those two, like the average age, like Biff being the geezer at 29, like the rest of the guys, like 22, 23, 26, 27, like
I think that's really important. My D1 career ended at 27. From an injury. I shouldn't have played the last couple of years I played, but basically, and back then, I don't know if we played more rugby or not, because y'all play a lot more sevens in the summer, but we played a full fall season with a tournament at the end of the season, a 5-game 15s tournament. And then we played a full spring season with a 15s tournament and championships in the spring. And, your bodies just cave, and it's been incredible. And I think, quite frankly, you're not giving yourself and Chestnutwood, Vandiver, guys that are here on top of what we're doing with the scholarships, talking to other people and talking about these results the Huns are putting up on the board, like the one behind me, 36-7 at the Blacks, Burfield over the Reds this last weekend. Can you say double scalp? I mean, kids know they can come here and there won't be a click like on some other clubs, the Blacks, and they can play right away and win some games. I think that you guys are doing that too. So yeah, Biff got the ball rolling, but it seems like it's gathering momentum to me.
Not to mention the number of guys that have, just by virtue of being good club players for the Huns, have gotten an opportunity to play with the Gilgronis.
Not to mention, so if you want to be like Red, Patrick Coleman, or JP, or Phil, or a long list of guys on the Huns, and play D1, grow, and have a chance to get called up. Yes, I think that's going to be appealing to kids too. So you young whippersnappers out there that are watching this, come to the Huns and play D1 rugby. You can play right away if you got the talent. Anything else about this incredible weekend? I got up on the board behind me. Who's this guy with the club foot on my far right, screen far left in this picture? It looks like you. We got the announcer. We got the announcer in the picture.
Yeah, the announcer plus a few pounds now.
Plus a coach. I noticed while you were broadcasting, you were coaching guys up, man. I love that.
I do what I can. Try to help out. I don't want to. I think we have a very nice balance of myself and Kretschmar, and obviously Kretschmar is one of the best players the Huns have had for a few years as well. He's out with a torn ACL.
Dude's a lion.
Yeah, we have a good balance of like Kretschmar and I can put in our 2 cents when we're called on, but like it's Adam's bus. Like Adam's driving the bus, and sometimes he needs his GPS, and so he dials on us, and we just help give a little direction to the boys.
Adam needs his GPS. I love it. So let's talk about you for a second. You have had your own show on Flow Rugby with a couple of pals. I think Willis was part of that, right?
Was.
And you write columns for Flow Rugby. You played in college. You've played sevens and 15s for the Huns. You've suited up for the Gilgronis. And I got to tell you, I've enjoyed your announcing. You've got your own style, and I enjoyed listening to you. All the tidbits. You knew everybody's name on both sides. You got a great vocabulary. Making lemonade out of lemons, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mateo's favorite.
I think if you and Biff, with Biff on color, combined your efforts, you guys could be an MLR commentating team right now. I said it. I stand by it.
I'll double down on that. I think we could.
Well, that would be awesome. So I hear you're going to nationals. I'm going to be out of the country, but hopefully you can carry on with your broadcasts. I'll be tuning in from far away. And I know only 20 or 30 guys or gals or whomever watch, but for us 20 or 30 people and then to live forever on the internet, it really is an amazing thing.
Well, I appreciate that. And I mean, it's made a lot better by, us. It's easier to get excited when the boys are playing well.
Dude, there wasn't one false note really, all weekend, at least not one that mattered. And there were so many smart plays and great plays, and just playing smart, aggressive, tough, fast, space-oriented rugby. you
Yep,
know?
and that's really what we've been drilling down. So it's nice to it. What's really good too is when you work on a lot of things in practice, and then you actually see the success from those practice, like you see it play out in the game. Then you really like double down on those pointers that you worked on, because like sometimes it's like golfing. Like you get a swing tip and it works, then you're like, oh wow, I'm gonna really keep doing this. But if you get a swing tip and it actually is beneficial, but you're still not looking at the ball and you hitting shanks, then you're like, oh well, that tip didn't work, so I'm not going to do that tip anymore. But we see Adam's coaching is really working, so guys are buying into it even more.
One of the things I want to close with that you said about this last week is that it wasn't just the top 15 or so guys fighting for Huns one. It was all 50 guys pulling
Yeah,
together and rowing in the same direction this week, and that really paid off on the field. Why don't you talk just for a second about club culture and about that? To me, the Huns are special. They've always meant brotherhood to me. Why don't you talk a little bit about those things before we close?
yeah. So I think one of the most legendary Huns we've ever had, Kirk Tate, he's moving on. He's going to move to Colorado. For people that don't remember his name, he's the guy in the straw hat. Um,
Coached for like 15 or 20
yeah,
years.
but he kind of really, I wouldn't say he invented the Big Ten policy, but he really emphasized that the Big Ten policy was a part of who the Huns are. And, Adam Scheidler told some really great stories about Kirk at his going away party on Saturday. But something Luis Sanchez, or Wheezy as everyone knows him, brought up and likes to quote a lot, was another Kirk Tate-ism. He said, it's easy to join something that's already built. What's really impressive is to build something yourself. And he was really just kind of referencing, a lot of guys used to come in town, and it was easy to go join the Blacks because the Blacks have been historically great, and they've already made themselves into a powerhouse nationally. And so the easy thing to do is to go be a part of that and be another brick in that castle. But what the Huns have really tried to do is buy in and build something ourselves, and it takes every single man, not just the guys at the top. And I think that that's really built a foundation that keeps guys coming back and giving back, and wanting to stay involved. And the young guys see it, and the young guys are already becoming a part of it. And I think that there's a very strong sense of community and family. And I know those are cliche words, but it's very true. And a lot of guys, I think, wouldn't be where they are today if it wasn't for the Huns.
Dude,
And
the Huns saved my life.
yeah,
And
I heard that story. Like I heard like 7 different people have told me the same thing, that the Huns saved my life.
Pat Lockridge didn't call it the Big Ten philosophy because when I started that practice, we had 14 guys. So he grabbed me jogging and put me in at second row. We had 15 guys. That was on a Tuesday. I started on a Saturday. I got to carry the ball and tackle somebody. We won. Pat put his arm around. We went drinking beer. And Pat became a mentor of mine. And, we had to focus on brotherhood because we barely had enough players for a lot of my early career with the Huns. And, I don't know if you remember from the banquet, but Kirk came to the first practice, threw a body block on legendary Jay Rudd.
Oh yeah.
Jay got up and said, "You don't do that." Kirk thought he should go hide somewhere and was ready to quit right away. And John Banks went up to him and said, "No, you're one of us now. Come on, we're going to Nasties." And we all partied Kirk up his first day. And Kirk, probably better than anybody, did expand on the Big Ten philosophy and grow it. But it goes all the way back to our founder, Pat Lockridge. He instilled it in me, and other guys got it. John Banks certainly got it. John Banks was the captain's fund by himself before there was even a captain's fund, helping out players in need. So I'm sorry to see Kurt go, but I'm really glad we've been able to bring him back into the fold the last few years, and that, you know, he feels good about his experience again. Don't need to talk too much about that, but I'm with you all the way. And I think you young guys are doing a great job passing on the brotherhood and keeping that going. Us old farts, we can talk about it, but we can't do it. This is a team thing, and the team's really, really carrying that banner well. Anything else you want to say before we sign off here?
Yeah, just you know, thanks for everything you're doing, Bill. Not just with this, you know, these podcasts and the newsletters and everything, but you know, I think a lot of people don't know that you know, the Huns financially were not in a position where there was any direction. I think maybe 3 years ago, and you took over as the treasurer, and the Huns have been honestly probably the most financially responsible and stable club in the state, and if not in the country, since you've taken over. And that's been like immensely helpful for us, just from a strategic and from a foundational standpoint. So work that goes unsung, I'm just gonna sing it for you. So if people that are watching can help, you know, help them understand that Bill.
Thanks for saying that. But A, team effort, and B, if you're complimenting me over that period, we really need to compliment Hansel Johansson too. That guy added a ton of structure, did a lot of behind the scenes work on our policies and procedures. And he was my partner side by side on all this finance stuff. I did the books, but we got sick of talking to each other. We talked to each other so much. He's another young seven. I say young, you know, he's 42 or something. Another young seven that wouldn't let the Huns fail. Us sevens got to stick together.
Yep. So.
All right, brother. Give my best to your mom and dad, and thanks for everything you're doing too. I'm really proud of you. I know that sounds stupid to say about a brother, but you young guys are killing it, and I couldn't be more proud about what you're doing on and off the field.
Yeah, and hey, if y'all watch, if you can watch Rugby ATL, and fellow Austin Hun, Ryan Rees, and Damon Torres will be playing in the championship game on Sunday. So
go Atlanta! Screw the Giltinis.
Screw the Giltinis.
And you know what, man? This is another conversation for another day. I was really frustrated your brother didn't get a chance to play for the Eagles, but that's a conversation of the day. At least he made the side.
Yeah, he will. Yep. All right. Thanks a lot, Bill.
Have a good one. Thanks a lot, Alex.
All right. Take care.